obviously, like Binance is the largest platform in the world for this industry, with more users in more places around the world, and Dubai itself is just this thriving hub for activity in the space. And so when you kind of put that together, you get a lot of energy. I think it's fascinating to watch because just even in the last year, right, the way in which crypto is getting used, the growth in the technology, the stablecoins, which is my world, like just becoming more and more important and growing, independent even of like how crypto markets go. It's like seeing all that, and it's just like the context here is a great one.
It really is, and I think Dubai has become this sort of hub of innovation. Why do you think there is that draw of Web3 sort of talent to this region while we're here? It's one of the reasons we sort of chose to host it here. But I wanted to hear your take on Dubai.
Well, I mean, look, the UAE has been out in front on this for a while, right? I mean, USDC, for example, became like a legally approved stablecoin through the Abu Dhabi global markets like 6 years ago, right? So you obviously have regimes like VARA in Dubai creating regulatory clarity for companies, and so Dubai and UAE itself is like such a hub location connecting Asia, Europe, emerging markets, the West. It has this kind of hub-like characteristic, and clear regulations that makes it viable for people to like build businesses here confidently, right? All those things have combined to make it, I think, a really thriving market for all of this.
Brilliant. And I mean, the theme of this year's event is momentum. We've seen a huge amount of momentum in growth across the industry, particularly with stablecoins, USDC.
Yeah.
Well, what are the next steps we need to see for stablecoins to have an even greater impact on the global financial system?
Well, it's been a big year, right? I was just mentioning to someone earlier, right? Earlier this year, stablecoins became defined as legal electronic money in the European Union. Like, this is a market, the European Economic Area, that has almost 800 million people. It's one of the biggest economic blocks in the world, and through the MiCA laws, like USDC is now legal electronic money in the EU. Our Euro stablecoin EURC, which is growing fast, legal electronic money in the EU. And so what we're seeing is all around the world, like stablecoins are becoming part of the financial system, right? They're not just something that was sort of happening over here in crypto land. They're now really truly crossing over, and you're seeing the biggest payments companies in the world, the biggest asset management companies in the world. You're seeing large internet companies, banks and neobanks, like all of these major companies with hundreds of millions of users or millions of businesses that use them, adopting stablecoins. A lot of that's happened in the last year. And so with the like regulatory clarity that we're seeing, with the technology progress, you can like transact stablecoins now like basically instantly anywhere in the world at like no cost or virtually no cost. It's a big time. So I think there's been this momentum. I think it's just going to really accelerate as we go into 2025.
That's great. And talking about going into 2025, what are your kind of what are your main sort of desirables, your aims, goals for USDC going into the next year?
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that USDC is an approved dollar stablecoin in all the markets that are creating rules for it, so that like whether you're a person or a household or a corporation or a financial institution, that like that it's safe to accept and use USDC. We want to make sure USDC is as liquid and available everywhere in the world possible. So like building relationships with banks, with exchanges, with neobanks, like making sure that wherever you are, that you can get and easily access and use USDC. Those are really big goals. And then I also like another big goal is like really moving from the kind of early adopter uses of stablecoins into like mainstream payments, and seeing more and more people like adopting stablecoins like USDC for everyday payments, whether it's like a person-to-person payment, a remittance, a B2B payment, a payment for like an investment product, other things, like just really seeing that take hold. And we've seen good early traction with that, but like I really am hopeful that like the next year really brings a kind of significant shift towards that.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will. Everything seems to be driving forward at such a pace at the moment. There's a lot to be done in terms of educating people, and still in terms of crypto and how it works. What do you think needs to be done to help spread the global adoption of stablecoins and crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is like one of those things where like people everywhere, like once they kind of like figure it out, and the people they know and trust are using these things, like that really helps a lot. It was like, I remember when like email first came out and people like didn't really, like it was like a big deal if you had an email account, and people were like, I don't know if I need this, and like then things like WhatsApp and like these things, like all of a sudden like people are like, oh yeah, don't you have that? And then boom, they like went like viral like that. So I think we're close to that with stablecoins. I think we're close to that point where it's like people will just be like, what do you mean? Like you don't have that? Like it'll be easy enough to use this stuff, right? Like the simplicity, like right now there's still some complexity, like which blockchain do you have? Like, how do I pay gas fees? I don't have the token. Like that has to go away, right?
Yeah.
So that has to become more invisible. And I think as that happens, and then as people like can differentiate and know like, oh, like this stable coin is actually like legal. This stable coin actually has its reserves. This stable coin, like I know I'm safe to use this. Like as those things become, people become more aware of those too, that will help as well. And so then I think you can kind of get these viral loops going, and see this like all of a sudden, faster than people realize, like reach billions of people.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's got that some elements have still got that clunky nature. I think once people are using crypto and blockchain without kind of realizing they're using a blockchain.
Exactly. And I think like the tech advancements that are happening like in the crypto ecosystem, blockchain ecosystem, they're basically making that possible, right? Where like you can just, if you have fees to pay on a blockchain, you can pay them in USDC. And so if you're like, you don't have to like go and get every token to do everything, and like there's like abstractions across different chains. So like you don't have to worry about like, oh, what chain are you on or what wallet do you have? It's just like, boom, I got your QR code, I'm done. I paid my fee, off to the races.